Hey everyone, it's Scott coming at you with another video today. In this video, I'm going to attempt to save you a lot of time when you're making your own videos. You've probably heard the phrase, get it right at the source, and that is something I'm going to show you how to apply when it comes to making videos with OBS. If you're like me, you care about the quality of your stuff, you want it to sound the best, you want it to look the best, and sometimes you can be a little too obsessive about it, like I am. So the way I used to record videos is I would record it in OBS like this. I just had an input with my audio interface and my microphone, and I would record the audio into OBS, and then I would also record it into my DAW, and then I would do vocal processing on it. I'd add EQ and compression and a limiter inside the DAW, which is Cubase in my case. And then I would have to edit that audio back into the video and make them sync up and then export that. So it added a lot of time, and the end result was good, but you can get it just as good by using these plugins in OBS itself. So I'm going to show you how to do that. What you're listening to right now is just me doing a recording in OBS. I turn my computer on, I launch OBS, I hit start recording, and this is what I get. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm going to show you what I did. So first off, the first thing you got to do, well, I'll say this out front. I'm using plugins in OBS, so I'm using EQ, compression, and a limiter in OBS. And OBS comes with its own versions of those, but I don't recommend using them. They'll be fine, but I'm using third-party plugins that are a little better. So first thing you got to do, I would recommend going to Reaper's website and downloading the Replugs VST FX suite. Just hit the download link here, and you can get an EQ, a compressor, a multi-band compressor. It also comes with this really handy streaming plugin, which is actually what I use to capture audio in OBS, audio from my DAW into OBS. You can put this plugin inside your project in your DAW, and then you do a local stream, and then you put the same plugin inside of OBS, and you receive that local stream, and that's how you can record your DAW, which is super cool. So I really recommend getting these. And then what I'm currently using and what you're listening to is actually they're plugins that came with my audio interface, which if you have an audio interface, odds are there are plugins that come with it. So for me, I have a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8, and it's a second gen. I've had it for a while. There's a third gen out there now. So what you do is you get the interface, and you go to the website here, you register this interface, and you create an account. Once you do that, you can go to the software tab, and you can get any one of these. So I don't even know what Amplify Studio is. Never heard of it. Apparently you can make music in minutes. Cool. You can get a limited version of Ableton Live. Same with Pro Tools. These are both DAWs. You can do some things in them, but you don't have full access to everything that they could do. They're just like trial versions of them, but they're great to get you started. There's this Devastator 2, which I didn't even know was there. I'm going to have to get that. That sounds awesome. Some drums, this bass station, whatever that is, virtual synth. Maybe I'll try that too. I don't know. What I'm using is actually this red plugin suite. So you just click that, click here to redeem, whatever. I don't remember I did this a long time ago. I don't remember how I got the plugins. But anyway, you download something, install it, and you get the plugins. So that's what I'm using. And now I'll show you how to get those into OBS. So we'll drag OBS over here. You can see this is me talking. I labeled this audio input as 18i8 because that is my audio interface. So we're going to hit the gear icon, and you're going to go to filters. And here you can see the four things that I'm using. First is an EQ. I'm removing a lot of the mid-range, just kind of muddiness that is in my voice and that my microphone's picking up. Compressor, I'm using this to just compress the dynamic range to make my voice more even and come out more clear, and to sound a little more intimate. You get the sense that my voice is like right in your face with the compressor. And the limiter is doing the same thing essentially, but its job is to actually limit my output and make sure I'm not clipping. So, and then I have a de-esser, which I kind of made using a multi-band compressor. I'll show you that in a second. But this is to compress the S's, because after doing this compression and this compression, S's can get a little out of control. So what you do is you add a de-esser at the end, and it helps keep people's ears intact, because S's and T's and high frequency stuff like that can just rip your face off if they're not controlled. So let me show you what each one's doing. First off, if I wanted to add one, you just hit the plus button here. Then you go VST2.x plugin, and you call it what you want. So EQ2, and then you would just select whatever you want to use. So I'm using this Red 2 EQ right here. Those Reaper plugins that you downloaded, there's an EQ that came with that as well. That's this Re-EQ standalone. But yeah, I'm not using that, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Here's my EQ. This is the Red 2 EQ. Here's what I'm doing with it. You can see I've got a high pass filter, so that's just cutting off all the super low end. I'm sitting in the corner of a very unfinished room right now, which I'm planning on finishing. This is going to be an awesome studio one day. But there's a bass trap literally right on the other side of my screen, and yeah, I need to roll off all the low end with an EQ here because it could get a little crazy. Which I'll probably do a little bit more of that actually. It's hard to know. I don't know exactly what frequency that is. You just kind of have to listen and just play with it. And then I've got pretty much your basic radio EQ here. So there's a low boost, and then there's a low mid cut, high boost. It's that's pretty much what you're used to hearing on the radio. You hear a really deep, like if there's a male radio host and he's got a really deep voice, that's this low end that's really cranked. It's just, he's coming through your speakers and just right in your face. So that's this low end here, just a little boost. And then the high end is also there. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of how it is. Anyway, that's the EQ. Compressor. So a compressor compresses the dynamic range of anything going through it. So I've got a threshold set down here, and I've got a 4:1 ratio. So anything that crosses this threshold is going to get compressed at a ratio of 4:1. So if I were to raise the input by 4 dB, the output would raise by 1 dB, is how that works. It's a way to think of it. I've got kind of a medium attack, and then I've got auto release set. I really just wanted this compressor to be doing a lot of smoothing. It's not super aggressive, but I do have, as you can see, about 5 dB of gain reduction happening. That's what this meter is telling you, gain reduction. So what this compressor is doing is it is reducing the peaks, and then it is using this makeup gain to add gain to the rest of it. So that's how it actually compresses the dynamic range. Just the difference between the loudest thing and the quietest thing is now smaller because it lops off everything loud. Right here, you can see it happening. And then everything else, when the compressor is not going, as I'm trying to make it do here, is getting gained up by the makeup gain. So that's how a compressor works. So this one's just doing some general compression. Then I'm using the same exact plugin here as a limiter. So you can see I'm getting most of my level out of this limiter. I turn the input way up so that I could have a quote-unquote mastered level. And the reason for that is because I record videos with music production and mixing stuff and mastering, and I want to make sure that my voice, if I'm talking over it, is can cut through, and you can still hear me clearly, and you can still hear what I'm doing in my mix clearly. So that means I need my voice to be mastered essentially, and that's what this limiter is doing. The input level is cranked up, and I've got a 10:1 ratio, so that's like anything that crosses this threshold that I set here is getting absolutely slammed. So this thing's job is to really limit and keep me from clipping. So I've got a really fast attack, really fast release. It's just killing all the transients essentially. Little bit of makeup gain, which I think that might defeat the purpose of what I'm doing. Anyway, you get the idea. And then the de-esser. So I deactivated bands 1, 2, and 3 here. Band 4, I tried to set it up so that it only triggers on S's. So you can see when I say S's or T's, there's this little yellow gain reduction bar that comes up. So that's what this is doing. It's reducing those frequencies by that much. There's 8 there and 6 there, 8 there, you know. That's what that's doing. So I'll turn them off one by one and you can hear what each one's doing. So here's no EQ. This is what my voice sounds like, you know, just through my mic. And here's with EQ. So that's a big difference already. And by the way, I'm not listening to this as you are. I don't monitor my own voice when I'm recording. So I don't have a nice before after like you do. Here's the compressor. Turn the compressor off. That's what this sounds like. And here's what it sounds like with the compressor on. And now the limiter, you'll notice a huge difference with the limiter here, because once I turn it off, now I am super quiet. Because as you remember me showing you, I had, all this gain with this limiter. I had all this gain with this limiter, and when I have it off, my voice just drops a ton. So that's the limiter. And then the de-esser, not sure you'll notice a huge difference with it off, but here is the de-esser on. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. That is what you're hearing in my voice, and super easy. It's all set up. I just hit record, and that's how I sound. The other really important thing to remember is that when you plug your microphone into your audio interface, you need to have the gain on your interface set to the same level. So if I were to just turn the gain up on my interface, what would happen? Let me open up the compressor. So all the settings here are fixed. And I've got a threshold here. If I were to just turn the gain up on my interface, like say I wanted my voice to be a little louder, don't just turn the gain up on your interface, because there's an order that things happen in. If by turning the gain up on the interface, I am increasing the input level to this compressor, and I'm essentially just pushing it into this threshold harder. So it's going to keep compressing more and more and more. If I were to just turn, I'll just do it for an example. I'm going to slowly turn this up, and you can see that the gain reduction is going way up. I'm up to 10 dB there, and I'm going to turn this back down because I don't want to clip anything. So I've got my gain on my interface set to just 12 o'clock. It's just straight up and down, and I'm going to keep it that way for every video. So that's really important to remember. Other than that, you've seen everything I'm doing. That's all I have to show you. So if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Please subscribe, leave a comment, like, ask me questions, all that cool stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.